Folks, welcome into another episode of Hot Topics right here at pubsportsradio.com. Jeff, we come on each and every day to try to bring that knowledge to the people, even though sports aren't going on, but we can be optimists, right? The question of the day for the people out there, Jeff, when is the NBA coming back?
You know, I don't think it is, frankly.
Come on, that's not what we want to hear. That's not what we want to hear, Jeff.
Yeah, I'm pretty bullish on like other sports, like baseball and sports like that haven't exactly started yet. But I have to wonder, there's so many things you have to put into this season starting again that it might just seem, I think, too much, frankly. I mean, Donnie, first you look at logistics. I mean, how on earth would you fly teams back and forth? How would the season start? Would it just start with the playoffs? How do you get players back? I mean, you obviously have to look at, Donnie, the CBA and how that all works, because if they decide to start taking losses, I mean, at what point do the players start to get pissed off, and then lockouts, something like that starts to create? Because, Donnie, the CBA and that kind of thing, there needs to be a uniformed agreement on both sides. It's kind of like anything you do, you have to have it's a union type of thing where you have to have agreement. And, at this point, Adam Silver's got a lot of things to think about. Obviously, also, Donnie, you have to think about, and I think something that no one really thinks about is the fact that what's the conditioning for these players look like right now? Because, look, I said on another video we did, the average NBA player makes about $7.5 million, which, look, to me and you, that's a lot of money. And I wouldn't have any problem making even $1 million a year. But at the end of the day, before they end up seeing the money in their accounts, and they got to play all different people. It's not like these guys live in mansions with their own basketball courts and stuff. You got to wonder, how do they deal with the routines that they're not having? NBA players, Donnie, they don't cook. They don't, really do a ton on their own. A lot of it's done for them. They're told when to eat, what to eat, how to condition their body. They have round-the-clock care, which they still have, but at the end of the day, they're sitting playing video games all day. They're not getting out and doing the things they normally do. And most players aren't LeBron James, or they have a basketball court in their house or something like that. So, when you have a lockout, Donnie, you can go and practice. You can go and play, but, the courts are closed. You can't go in and play right now. So it's kind of unprecedented. I just don't see how it worked. The only thing you could obviously think about, Donnie, is, and something that I've seen recently that makes sense, I think you get all the players in one city, and the city has been mentioned possibly being Las Vegas. Get all the playoff teams in one city, have them stay at one hotel, and all play at one arena. I think that's how you could do it. But to think that you're going to have the regular, normal playoff situation is delusional. And to bring back teams like the Warriors and the Knicks and teams like that is stupid. It makes no sense. If the season starts, it's going to be playoffs, and that's it.
Well, also you have to keep in mind, we always like to take a look at the business aspect of everything, because when you're talking about arenas, Jeff, these arenas, whether it be the Wells Fargo Center in Philadelphia, Madison Square Garden in New York City, if there's 365 days a year, Jeff, like 340 of those dates are already taken up by concerts, right, other sports teams, your sports teams. You can't just wave your finger like, hey, no big deal. We'll start in July and August, when you're not supposed to have NBA there where all these concerts are running through. You can't just bump out like, I don't know, the Grateful Dead or, Post Malone, who's supposed to be in there. Those logistics have to be accounted for, and that's part of the hard part of them getting back on the court at this point.
Yeah, that's so true. I mean, and as you said, I mean, at what point do you start to think about next season? Do you just scrap it and say, look, we just can't do it, unfortunately. We're going to let's just get ready for next season, and we'll put a ton of time into that, and we'll be prepared. Because you got to have the draft at some point. You've got to have that preparation start for those players. It's just a complete mess. And, Donnie, as far as the money is concerned, I read that if games are canceled, basically the league can deduct approximately 1.1% for each lost contest. So if you're talking about a player like LeBron James, I mean, that's like $400,000 a game. Mm-hmm. Keep in mind, there's like 20 games left, plus the playoffs. I think they average it out to like 5.5 playoff games. So that's like 25 games times $400,000. That's like $10 million. And that's a crazy amount of money.
Even on top of that, Jeff, just to double down, you're taking a look at these players that ramp up. How many new commercials do you see come out for the playoffs? What about the new sneaker edition you want to release as you wear them on the court? All that. I mean, these guys are walking business entities unto themselves. So when you think about, Jeff, when you bring up just like losing a game check, there's so much circling around them that they lose even more from the financially as well.
And the hard truth about it, Dottie, is, look, players like LeBron James, Kawhi Leonard, they're going to be fine. There's nothing going to happen to them. But you look at a player like, I don't know, Ivica Zubac or somebody like that. He's not making a ton of money. I mean, he's making good money, and we're not going to cry and whine over him. He'll do fine. But at the end of the day, how do players like that figure? Because they don't have endorsements. I mean, unless they're in Serbia or where the hell Zubac is from. I mean, Royce O'Neal, just these random players, they don't have the ability. Most of them probably live in a high rise. I mean, they're not able to go out and work on their games. I mean, they're doing ab rollers in their house and things like that. So it's a real tough situation. You have so many issues with logistics and with the money and with the conditioning. And look, Donnie, I will say this. The thought of people saying that I can't wait to see Toronto go to Philadelphia and play in the Eastern Conference, I mean, that's nonsense. It's not going to happen. The public health problem right now is magnified. It hasn't even reached the peak. I think we have to start really thinking about the fact, Donnie, that I think it's safe to say you don't see the NBA again. If you see MLB, I don't think it's till June or July. And I think we have to have the hard truth, Donnie, that college football, I don't know how you play college football. I really don't. I don't know how you can feasibly make it happen.
Yeah, that's the money. That'll be a story for another day on the NCAA. But getting back to the NBA, Jeff, because you bring up some good points also. Forget about just the regular season. I think they're going to play something because money talks. The fans are going to want it. Once the pandemic curve starts to come down, we'll see the clamoring. But also NBA draft. Lead up to the NBA draft, getting the prospects together, having interviews. That's not going to be taking place. And also, Jeff, what's one of the most fun things we have in the NBA summer that when we lead into the season? The summer leagues are so much fun. Yeah. They're gone.
And that's what you have to think about here, Donnie. How do you get the next season started? Because if you extend the season into, let's say, August or September, how do you do the summer league? What about those players? I'm going to tell you right now that if you're a young player, and I'm talking about you're a player that isn't a first-round pick, you've got to be absolutely nuts to leave college. I don't know. Because again, you're not going to have the combine. You're not going to have the summit leagues and things, the Portsmouth Invitational, things like that, where these younger kids that are trying to get on, like a young player that maybe isn't a first-round pick, how does he get out there and show his abilities to be able? If you're an NFL drafter, like you're a 5th, 6th-round pick, I mean, it hurts you a lot because you don't have the ability to do some of the things. So it really hurts everybody, man. It's a shame.
No, we want this back in our life sooner than later, but it's still fun to talk about. It's still to keep these topics going because sooner or later, what we hope, Jeff's going to happen in 2 to 3 weeks is say, you know what, we're shooting for June 15th. We're going to get everything underway, and then we can start capping games, having fun, and getting it back into our lives. But hey,
Donnie, here's the issue, and I agree with you. Listen, give me anything. Give me FIBA basketball, anything. The problem you have is dates are dates, and they can be quickly changed. Mark Cuban last week was talking about mid-May. Now he has no idea. Like, the public health problem is there because, Donnie, I said it on another show we did. Let's say you start the NBA back up July 1st, right? Yeah. And you do the playoffs. And let's say one player gets coronavirus. You have to shut it all down. I mean, it's truly concerning, man. It's and the NBA looks at it as if one can't do it, none of us can. Now, remember in Entourage in season 5 when they had the first class ticket and one of them was the only one that could do it? Mm-hmm. Vincent Chase said, "Look, if we can't all do it, we're not doing it." And stuff like you can't just like pick one. Like, if a loyalty is loyalty, and the NBA is a loyal group, they're not just gonna, like, people are talking about Toronto being left out. Toronto's not gonna be left out. They're never gonna do that. It's never gonna happen. If one team can't do it, nobody can do it.
No, it's definitely the word of the day is when is it going to get back on the field? And we'll certainly see, but we'll keep you posted here right here on pubsportsradio.com. A lot of NFL talk, Jeff. At least we can have fun. We know the draft is coming along, even though it doesn't look like some people in the media even want it to happen. But we'll talk about it right here on pubsportsradio.com's Hot Topic of the Day. For Jeff Nadu, I'm Donnie Seymour. Catch us tomorrow for another Hot Topic, and thanks for tuning in.
Nothing but bad news lately, Donnie.